Welcome, everybody. I'm Neil Cavuto, and Ebenezer Scrooge, Jeff Bezos, and Barack Obama. Which one of these does not belong and why? I'm going to let you think about that. Again, Ebenezer Scrooge, Jeff Bezos, Barack Obama. Who does not belong with the others? Time's up. The answer? Barack Obama. Because unlike the other two, he has yet to reverse course and learn the folly of his ways. Now, we know Ebenezer Scrooge did with not a second to spare. And we know that Jeff Bezos at Amazon did with not another billion to lose. Bezos' online shopping powerhouse finally making a profit after finally cutting the spending spree. So, as I said, both got it very late. But as I said, better late than never. So how about it, Mr. President? There is still time to change your ways, to cut the spending, to quit digging a deeper hole with money you don't have on programs that do not work. Now, I'm begging you, put the shovel down. If not to save your soul, oh, I don't know, maybe to save us some money. To employment expert Jody Courtney. And from D.C., we got Hedley Heath Manning on how the private sector learns from its mistakes and how very individual rich guys, even back in old London times, learn as well. Hadley, you think this president will?
No, sir. We're always hoping that government will act more like the private sector and show some fiscal restraint, some fiscal responsibility. But now, instead of being more responsible with the taxpayers' dollar, the president is announcing a new budget on Monday that will increase spending 7% over the previously agreed upon bipartisan caps in the sequestration. Yeah, and those are caps that both parties agreed to, but now we're hearing, Jody, that they were just a manufactured crisis and essentially much ado about nothing. So if that's the White House's view on this stuff, then I think we're all going to get stuffed.
Yeah, well, you know, I love your analogy here, Neil, on looking at this. I think the White House certainly should learn from some examples of what's happening in business. You look at Jeff Bezos with Amazon, and obviously he was getting scrutinized, and so was the stock price, because making lots of investments, but they weren't cutting back on their spending. And you can see from their last earnings release, certainly they've had to make some tough decisions. And I think as a leader, you do need to know how to balance a budget, how to make investments, how to make tough cuts when you need to. And certainly in business, it might be making that return to the shareholder, but with government, it is to the taxpayer. And that certainly is hurting right now.
You know, there's nothing wrong with being very late to change on something. And Hadley, I think that's what I'm reminded of with Richard Nixon. He was a Cold War architect who, you know, broached a deal in communication with China. And it was Ronald Reagan who spoke detente with Mikhail Gorbachev. So we always see presidents will change what is supposedly their political DNA. Bill Clinton did it after his party had a shellacking in the midterms. So I don't see that out of this president yet, and I don't see any attempt to learn from past mistakes, rather to compound them.
That's right, Neil. This budget, like a lot of presidential budgets, is really more of a political document than it is a real suggestion or path forward, because there's no chance that a Republican-controlled Congress would take up this sort of budget proposal. Instead, what I think is pretty amazing, the president veers to the left with this budget proposal of increasing spending, increasing taxes on American families, in spite of the fact that in 2014, the midterm elections, I think the message from the American public was pretty clear that they want more fiscal restraint.
You know, Joni, again, I'm going to go back to Ebenezer Scrooge. Who names their kid Ebenezer, by the way? So it could have started out badly. But he changed, and of course Jeff Bezos changed. So what are the odds, the under and over odds in your book, that this president will change? He's got 2 years to go.
You know, Neil, I think I'd love to see some changes, certainly for the taxpayers, but I don't think we're going to see that over the next 2 years. I mean, there's certainly challenges here, not only with the budget, but even looking at some of the federal programs that are in place today. And when you look at like improper payments or misuse of funds, they're in the billions of dollars. We've got challenges with Medicare and Medicaid and unemployment. And so we need someone in government to step up and kind of fix these issues. And we certainly are looking for the leader in the White House to do that. But ultimately, right now, the challenge does come back to the taxpayer.
Well, I don't know. I feel like repeating that line. Are there no prisons? All right, guys, thank you both very, very much.
Thank you.
Well, unfortunately, the White House, pretty much to Joni's point, is apparently doubling down right now on ignoring all of this. This is the latest proof. Why